it wants this thing. So first we'll just copy the animation. And then we had to figure out, so the app logo is actually here. So remember, this has class app logo. We have to copy this here. This is part of the app logo CSS file. All right. So now the interesting thing is we can't just do this, right? Because this is not defined. Here it's defined a keyframe. So how do we define keyframe with styled components, right? So we had to actually make a variable for a keyframe. So const rotate animation equals. So here we had to use the keyframe keyframes name. So we had to bring in keyframes, right, from styled. So this is a helper that's used specifically for keyframes. So whenever you want to define a keyframe, you want to define it. So same as the way you define a style component, you do two backticks, and then you paste the animation to here. So now rotate animation contains the actual keyframe definition. So instead of this app logo spin, we can just do a interpolate the component, the variable. So now we have this the class name taken care of, right? We had two other properties, the source and the alt. So how do we pass that into the logo style component? Well, you do it the same way as any other components. This is pretty much like they are components after all, right? So the way you do it is you do a .attree for attributes, and then you do a, well, since this is a function, you can pass in a couple of variables. So here are we want to pass in source and alt into this attributes property. So source is logo. So logo is defined up here by create React app is the SVG file. And then the alt, we can just call it logo, just like this. So this is now done, all right? So logo style can fully replace this logo here. Isn't that clean? So let's take a look at this and see what we have so far, right? So if we do everything right, and if I get rid of this thing, since we don't need this anymore and we have moved over some things, looks like I run into some errors. Oh, it should be style components. So if we do everything correctly, you should see the app still running, and it looks the same. But if you inspect the elements, you're going to see that the hash class names here, right? So it's pretty cool that we actually replaced this thing, and then we removed the app.css from the source code, right? And then it still renders. Isn't that cool? So now let's replace the link property, right? Which is pretty much the same way that we would do, similar to how we do the image property, right? So let's do const link styled equals styled.a.attributes, because link has some attributes. We'll fill that out later, and then we want to grab the styles from that. So it has the class name app link. Let's take an app link. So it only has a color property, which is easy enough. We do color. Now let's take a couple of let's take all of this attributes and we'll put it in here, right? And we just have to replace all of this with correct JavaScript. It's an object, right? So we want to do an object And there it is. So now link style, you can actually use it instead of the A tag. Press save, and you should see the color. There it is. So this is now a, with the class name, something gibberish. So now you know it's powered by style components. So now look at your app. Look at the render function. Look how clean this is, right? None of that. You won't be littered with class name equals something, some logic here and there, some attributes. You define all of that here, up here. And these files can be come from another folder or something, so right? So you have a folder with atomic elements or atomic components that are style for you. And they are all scoped to their own context, right? Isn't this cool? So now I want to talk about a global style, right? Since Create React App comes with this thing here, so this is like a global style. Let's say you have global style you want to inject into the app body. There's a way to do that, right? So if you go to the index.js, we can inject a global style to this. So how do we do it, right? Let's go to the documentation to here, create global style, all right? This is something we're looking for. Create global style. It's pretty much like you can return an arbitrary CSS for the application that you wanted to import to the app. So let's do the, I kind of forgot how to do it. Style components, global styles. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's in the advanced usage. I'm not sure why it's advanced, but this is pretty much there it is. Oh yeah, so it's important for server rendering if you want to pass all your styles in there. Where is the, there it is. So create global style. All right, so we're just gonna import this in the index.js. So this will create the global style, and then we just copy this. So global style, you set it to a variable, and then you use the helper, and then you pass in the global CSS that you wanted to inject into the whole application, right? So we're gonna copy this whole everything inside of index.css, and then we're gonna do paste it in, and now this whole global style is being sent to the variable global style, and all we have to do is include it. Usually this is in another file, but for the demo purpose, I'm not going to do that. So let me remove index.css, and you should see our app still works, right? Let's see, let's change our font size to 55 px. Oops, not this file because we don't need it anymore. Let's change our font size 55 pixel. Press save. You should see that the body has font size 55. There it is. So it actually does work, right? Amazing. So that's how you do global style in the app. So now I want to talk about style extension, right?